Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Aannsha and today we're going to make a felt painting of a place called Olympos that my husband and I visited a few years ago. It's by the sea, it's got a river that runs through it, and it's got ancient ruins. So I mean, it's pretty much everything that you would like to make a lovely painting. And I'm going to paint it in wool, and I'm going to felt the wool using the wet felting technique. Everything that I'm using will be linked down in the description below. So this is your background, this is like the canvas, then we're going to do a bit of underpainting. All of the colours when they felt, all of the layers will felt together, so you get a lovely rich blend of colours all coming through. So this is the very coarse wool that I got from Spotlight, but it'll do a nice job in terms of just giving us a sort of base layer to work with. Alright, so that's your sky base layer. We've got the river, so we've got the river that's coming through this way. And this is where the ruins are going to be. We're going to have some trees, so I'm going to put some green as background here. Alright, so now we're going to actually use some lovely wool to make the painting. So we'll start with the sky. So I've got a couple of different blues and a cream to make the sky. So if you look at the sky, whether you're looking at a photograph or go outside and have a look, you'll notice that it's a bit darker at the top, and it usually gets a bit lighter as it comes to the horizon. So we're going to have a slightly darker layer of blue here. Now, if you've not felted before and you want to learn the felting process, check out the video that I've already made. You'll see it in the playlist, and I'll link to it down below in the description. And I'm going to use a little bit of darker blue just in the corners, and this is the colour that I'm going to be putting into the river, so it'll sort of tie the whole painting together. That's the sea, the horizon. Great thing about wet felting painting, you can put a certain amount of detail in, and then if you want to get it more detailed afterwards, you can actually needle felt it or embroider it, which I have done on some of my other paintings, which you can see here. Now in the painting, because we've got trees here, and you know there's a little bit of vegetation stuff, the actual shadows in the water are kind of browny, so we'll put a little bit of brown in here. Now I've got a little bit of sand actually here, so the river runs to the beach and then it runs from the beach to the sea. So there's actually, if you look at the photograph, you can see there's a line of sand here, and I might just put a little bit of yellow. I'm also going to be using some of this yellow in the trees. So I like to sort of keep the colours that I'm using pretty similar, so that when you look at the painting it's got a lovely cohesiveness. If you start using lots of different colours, which is difficulty when you buy a job lot of 60 colours. Yeah, it's best if you can sort of use similar colours all together. Or if you use one type of blue here, use it down here as well, and then it kind of ties it all in together. Now I'm going to bring in some pale blue grey as highlights for the river, and also around here. And then I'm going to bring a bit of this just to tie in with the sky. Yeah, this is not a paint by numbers job. This is a go with what feels right as an artist kind of painting. So yeah, you'll have to excuse me if I don't give you lots of details as to, oh, put this kind of blue here, oh, put this kind of blue here, because it's not, that's not how I'm working. I'm working in a very fluid way. So this is the other side of the riverbank, and this is where there are pebbles and also ruins. So I'm going to just block out the ruins in this kind of colour first, because I think it, otherwise I'll just get lost in the background. There we go. We've got kind of, like I said before, we've got, this is an area, this is the other side of the river bank. So I'm just going to make that look like it's also got sort of vegetation that's dropped from the trees for the trees in the background. So I'm just going to do this. So I'm just sort of going to twist this slightly, rub it, twist it, and just put it like this. Now, in reality, there are lots of tree branches and quite a few trees along this bank. But so it doesn't look muddled, I'm just going to do a few just to give the illusion of lots of trees. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to put some leaves down. And we'll put a darker one, darker green. So the reason we put the sky background down first was so that any areas where there isn't leaves, it's just going to show through. So it looks quite pretty actually. So I'm just going to, so we've got sort of different levels of trees going on here. I'm going to use, it's a sort of dark purple, browny, well, it's a purpley brown, but I'm going to use this as shading. A bit more green on the top here. Alright, so now we're going to put, there's a pale tree in the front. Right, so now we need to put a little bit of shading. So I'm going to use a different brown for the shading. Now we're going to put some lighter leaves over the top. Bit more definition. definition there. And then I'm going to use some, actually I'm going to use this yellow again, just to maybe highlight. And then I'm going to put some grass in the front, and then we're going to get some boulders. Now this is all rocks in the front here, so I'm just going to, I kind of don't want to put too much in the front yet because I want to do the other details, but just to remind us where the rocks are. So now I'm going to put down the ruins. So I'm going to use this dark blue again, just to add a bit of shading just along here so that you can see where the ruins end and the beach begins. And then we're going to have a couple of archways in here, which are the windows. So now we're going to just make some shading, because behind these we've got trees and bushes. So it's I'm going to put some nice dark shading just to highlight the actual ruins. And then we're going to use some nice green. And don't be afraid to use scissors to cut sort of straight edges if that's what you're after. Now, because these are ruins, they've got kind of uneven tops anyway, because you know some of them have fallen down. But the bottom of the little window openings, I am cutting straight. A little bit of cream. And we're going to put a few little strands of sort of grey there, because the ruins are made out of stones. So, but because we're looking at them from a distance, you know, you can't really see individual stones that clearly. But what we could do later on, once we felted this, is we could needle felt some details in, which I'll show you. So we'll put a little bit of light here. Greenery, around here. And also the shading, which I really like this sort of purpley blue, because it's just got a lovely depth to it. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to take this sort of browny grey, and I'm going to add a little bit of definition along the top edge here, because this is like a wall, and these are like windows on a wall behind it. So on the top of the wall you've got a little bit of moss growing as well, so we'll just add a little bit of green on the top. Now let's put a little bit of white. So now we're going to get these neps, these wool neps, and we're going to put them on the riverbank, because the riverbank is made up of lots of little pebbles. Now the thing with wool neps is they don't felt that easily, so what I might do, you've got a bit, there's little bits of wood in here and everything, which is great because that's what you get on a riverbank, isn't it? What I will do here is I will just put a very, very fine amount of wool roving over the top of them. It will just help them to get incorporated into the body of the felt. We've got our little ruins here. We want a little bit more white here for the beach. What we'll do is we'll take these beautiful shiny pieces of silk and we're going to add them, first of all we'll add them to the sea, so we're going to get a lovely shine, glistening. Never have enough silk, I reckon. Right, that's that. And then we're going to, obviously we're going to put some in the river so it glistens, and there's different shades of blue here, which is quite nice. I just love doing this. Something about, I don't know what it is, I don't know whether it's the colours, whether it's because it's a really tactile kind of thing, you know, getting all involved in the felting of the thing. There's just something really fulfilling about making felt paintings. Just put a little bit of this sari silk. Each different material that you put into your felt is going to felt at a slightly different rate. I mean, the silk isn't going to felt at all, but we're going to cover it with a little bit of wool rovings, and it will, as the wool shrinks, we'll get some interesting patterns from this. Some of this lovely dark blue, I'm going to put that there. Then we need to have a little bit of, mulberry silk, just for the sheer beautiful glisteningness. See, different fabrics also kind of, you know, different yarns and what have you, just add interest as well. Very dark blue line right at the back, differentiating the edge of the sea. This is the beach, this bit, remember? So I'm just going to kind of cut those there, because the river actually curves around, so I really ought to do this. Curving around and disappearing behind the rocks. You know, there's no right or wrong to this, because if it ends up looking, you know, natural and real, that's great. And if it ends up looking more abstract, that's cool too. Pretty. Now we might put a little bit of a puffy cloud in here. Okay, and then what we might do is just take some of this and run that through here like that. Now we're going to put some rocks in the front. So just get some of that, maybe get some darker colours. Alright, so we'll use some green. Okay, that's looking good. Now I'm going to clear up the wool from here, because I often forget, get stuck into felting and then it all gets wet. And that's not what I want. We're back, and I remembered that I had a little bit of yellow sari silk, so I've just put that in the trees and sort of put a little bit of wool over the top. Got some warm water here, I've got my soap. because it's going to keep shrinking as we rinse it. So I think that is rather nice. So I'm going to rinse it in water, in hot and then cold water, which will shrink it a bit more, but we need to get rid of all of the soap. Okay, so I've got here a bowl of warm water, and I'm just going to put a little bit of vinegar in there just to make it acidic, because wool is happiest when it's in an acidic environment, which is where it is now. That will also neutralize any traces of the alkaline soap that we had, so if I didn't rinse it properly, that will also help to neutralize that. And now it's time to take it out. Take a dry part of this towel, and I'm going to just give it a bit of a squeeze. All right, so this is our final painting. So I'm just going to pull it into shape. We've got the tree definition here, we've got the river running to the beach, to the sea, and we've got the trees behind the ruins and the pebbly bank. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry completely, and then in the next video I'll do some needle felting and embroidery, and I'll show you how to make more definition on some of the trees, the grass and the ruins, so that the things that you want to pop out are really going to pop out and look fantastic. So thank you for watching me make this little felt painting, and I look forward to catching up with you in the next video. My name's Aannsha. Thanks for felting with me.